We've got breaking news in a CBS Sports HQ. The 4 Heisman finalists have been announced. It's headlined by Alabama quarterback Bryce Young. He's joined by Pittsburgh quarterback Kenny Pickett, Michigan defensive lineman Aiden Hutchinson, and Ohio State's quarterback C.J. Stroud. Hutchinson, most notably here with 14 sacks. Going to be a defensive name there at the ceremony in New York. But looking at the numbers, it's Young's to lose as we head into Heisman Watch. For more, we welcome in our ear to the ground, CBS Sports college football insider Dennis Dodd. Dennis, to no surprise here, this list headlined by the Alabama quarterback, but your general reaction to the list and the fact that we have a defensive player out there is what?
Yeah, I'm really glad that Aiden Hutchinson made it from Michigan. I think it's really hard for most Heisman voters to discern the intricacies of defensive play. We haven't had it in a while. Fun fact, Joe, this is Jim Harbaugh's second Heisman finalist on defense. His first year, he had Jabril Peppers, who was kind of a hybrid linebacker, defensive back, return kicks, and even played a little bit of offense, but he was mostly a defender. So Aiden Hutchinson is his second Heisman finalist. I wonder how many coaches have that.
Yeah, a true game breaker, Hutchinson, hoping to keep this thing rolling into the college football playoff. But I fear that we buried the lead here. Bryce Young, the prohibitive favorite to win the award, and he, by all estimations, will. Can you put his season into a capsule and define it? It's not quite finished yet, and Young has really turned this team around. The offense was floundering for a moment, and then they come out in the SEC title game. Is there a Heisman moment in your eyes? Was more of a comprehensive approach throughout the season for Young?
Yeah, there were several. In mid-November, I don't know if we had a Heisman favorite. We kind of had C.J. Stroud going there. Bryce Young was percolating along. He had 559 yards in that one game, a school record against Arkansas. He had 3 times, Joe, where he threw 5 touchdowns in a game, 43 touchdowns on the season. But for me, the Heisman moment, I think this probably clinched it for him, was against Auburn. A minute 35 to go, having to go 97 yards to do something they hadn't done the whole game. That is, score a touchdown. And I looked it up today. At that point in the game, he was 16 out of 34 for something like 204 yards and an interception. That's it. From that point on, obviously tied the game with 24 seconds left, and then in overtime, 9 of 17, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns, but modest numbers, if you will. But without Bryce Young, we're not even talking about Alabama in the playoff, and we may not be talking about Bryce Young as the overwhelming favorite. Yes, he was great against Georgia, and he had all those games I spoke about previously, 3 times, 5 touchdowns. But I think for me, that was his Heisman moment. Now, not only was he a volume passer, because he was 26 out of 51 in that game, but he was clutch. He was Brady-like in that game when you absolutely needed him.
No doubt a worthy tip of the cap here to C.J. Stroud, who had never thrown a pass in a college football game until this season. Goes for 3,800 yards, 38 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. And then Pickett getting his flowers as well as he resets some of those ACC records. I'm not going to put your vote in jeopardy here, Dennis, because we know you can't necessarily divulge. But let's just say Bryce Young at 1. I'll say that for you. Put the others in line for me.
I've got, and I will divulge because I can't, I've got Aiden Hutchinson, I've got Kenny Pickett, number 2, an all-time quarterback at Pittsburgh, and really brought Pittsburgh back to relevance this year, winning the ACC and breaking Dan Marino's career record for touchdowns, Alex Van Pelt's career record for total offense and passing yards. He's going to be in the Ring of Honor someday at Pittsburgh with Tony Dorsett and Dan Marino. He was that kind of sort of charismatic figure for Pittsburgh, bringing them back. And then Aiden Hutchinson, third, as I mentioned, the defender from Michigan, who had 14 sacks this year, along with teammate David Ajabo. They combined for 25 sacks this year, 34 on the season for Michigan. And a defense, as we go along in the month of December, have to be talked about this against Georgia. I think Georgia's going to have a tough time. They have a lot to prove with Stetson Bennett playing, having to come back and play well, how their receivers going to do. Pretty salty defense there at Michigan, led by Aiden Hutchinson.
It could be a knockdown drag-out between those two. We always appreciate the insights from our guy, Dennis Dodd. Thank you, Dennis. All right, let's take a look at those numbers and, engrave the darn thing. Bryce Young, minus 4,000 to take home this year's Heisman Trophy. Remember, prior to the last decade or so, not a whole lot of Alabama exposure when you're talking about Heisman Award winners or even candidates, but it's gone Bama tough over the last half decade here as he tries to join those names that include Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, last year's winner, Devontae Smith.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.